Hello, everybody. Welcome to Neomix Live number 8.
8?
8, the sign for infinity.
Is it?
Yeah, turn it on its side.
Sure. Yes, infinity. I don't know. Is that a good thing? It seems such a abstract notion. Like, our lives basically begin when we're born. Or at least our perception of the world, I should say. Obviously, our lives begin then. I guess if you could get metaphysical, maybe they don't. But either way, regardless, Flux Neo.
Terra Neo.
Terra Neo. Regardless, this is Neomix Live. We are here, I think, with kind of a different type of show in certain respects. We're trying to grow the channel. And each aspect of growing the channel entails certain kind of mile markers when it comes to the various platforms. One of the ones that I think we're focused in on currently is YouTube growth. Facebook's kind of interesting because once you already have your friends and you kind of have your platform on your personal side, it's a little easier to promote what you're doing through those associations. YouTube, it's literally like you start in the basement. You're in the mailroom.
Zero subscribers.
Yeah, sorting packages, so on and so forth. But over time, you actually, can get some traction. And the interesting part about it is you never really know where that tipping point is going to be. So you just focus on the fundamentals, find it appealing and interesting too. So part of this kind of journey for us has been not just the technical stuff, some of which we've gone into, but I think additionally just how do you grow a channel? We're not...
How do you make a channel? How do you bring subscribers in? How do you keep subscribers? How do you get them to watch? Are they turning off at 1 minute or are they turning off at 10 minutes?
Yeah, there's all kinds of layers to this that, but for actually starting a show and jumping in, you'd literally never, ever, ever think of. I think what's also interesting is that it's one thing to be 17 doing this. It's probably a little different to be 27 doing this. 37, let alone 47 or older. That doesn't apply to me yet. Point being, though, is that, you're basically trying to reach out to mature audiences who have lives, have kids, have jobs.
I had a great conversation today with my local banker, and he says, I watch YouTube now more than anything. I'm like, yeah, you're in the same bunch with a lot of people that can't take what's on TV, don't like what's on TV, and you can find anything on YouTube. So that is the crowd that we're in our show. But I think that, I'm not starting each show by saying, hey, guys.
Hey, we already went over this.
God,
we don't need to go back over that one.
Hey, guys.
Some people like that.
I guess.
But either way, I think that actually does bring up a good point in that people are turning away from satellite TV, cable TV. And a lot of it is because the programming is something you really don't have control over. Whereas if you go on to a Netflix, if you go on to an Amazon, if you go on to a YouTube, if you go on to a Hulu, you are in control of your experience. You can watch the content that you want to watch, when you want to watch it, and the rest of it, who cares? You even see crossover where, big franchises, NFL, various sports leagues, recognize a lot of people are no longer watching on traditional television mediums, and so they're trying to cross over and get to the streaming crowd in the hopes that they can capture those valuable eyeballs to promote products and promote what they're doing.
No more must-see TV.
Yeah, that era's dead. It's literally dead, and I don't know, at least personally in my circle of friends, I don't know who is just there waiting once a week to watch a show that they like. Maybe they're out there.
Maybe.
I don't begrudge them, but if I like a show, I want to watch the next one like right now.
So get to what we're doing.
So either way, that's kind of a long wind up, but what we're trying to do is take this experience and grow it.
So we had 100 subscribers in the first 30 days, which is noteworthy. That's not an easy thing. Yes, it is. That's not an easy thing to do. It got us our special little name. We're now, instead of youtube.com gobbledygook, we're youtube.com/c/Neomix Live.
Yes. Very cool. I was wondering if you're going to drop
I know that one. No.
Yeah, C is in Charlie.
As in channel.
As in channel. Well, yes.
So our next goal is 1,000 subscribers. And I think it's reasonable to set the end of the year as a goal. I don't know if we're going to make 1,000 by the end of the year. And see where you end up, and
not meet it and feel dejected and horrible about yourself and wonder why you ever started doing this. Yeah, great, awesome.
Okay, well then you pick the goal. 1,000 subscribers.
1,000 whenever it
happens.
happens.
Okay,
yeah,
you like that better?
Mind you, I grew up with a very Hispanic viewpoint in life.
Mañana, it'll happen. Mañana.
It doesn't mean tomorrow, although technically that's what it means. Mañana means. Or mañana means we'll get to it.
Get to it.
Come on. Life is happening. It'll happen. So I have a very... I have a very mañana sentiment about a lot of... I have a very mañana sentiment about a lot of features to living. And what it does is it makes sure I don't stress out.
This is true.
And get embittered and frustrated unnecessarily because the world doesn't go exactly according to my schedule or plan.
We wouldn't know anybody like that.
Yeah. So, regardless, I think the goal is to hit 1,000 subscribers. I don't know the full breadth of what the benefit is, but what we keep hearing is that that's a good number to achieve. Now, I think what Tamara was contemplating is maybe trying to incentivize that somehow.
Yeah, really thinking of, coming up with a contest to celebrate reaching 1,000 and to, in the meantime, encourage more people. So I'm open to ideas and suggestions if you have any. They're obviously a lot of YouTubers give away stuff. They give away things. They give away money. They give away stuff, and maybe that would be the route to go.
That might be fun. Just what might be interesting to at least the folks who pay attention to what we're doing at this early stage. What might be a fun giveaway? I'm kind of game for whatever. I probably would acquire it. I don't like giving away my own stuff because I have a collector viewpoint. Mine is keep what I collected vinyl records when I was very, very poor. And it literally became new vinyl record, which they've always been $10 regardless of inflation or whatever. Somehow vinyl records just stay $10. Maybe they've gone up to 11, 12. Unless, I'm talking for electronic music. I know the new fad, the trendy fad around vinyl music, they charge like $50 or $35 a vinyl. But for poor kids, it was buy a new record or eat Taco Bell. And that was the constant battle, day to day. More Taco Bell, more vinyl records. And that went on for years. It was a hard-fought battle, but at the end of the day, the Taco Bell lost to the vinyl records every time. And I was a very skinny person. We should probably get some pictures.
When we clip this and I repost it, I will post a picture of what this man looked like before I started to feed him.
Very skinny. I had roommates. And I didn't even have a shelf in my own refrigerator.
So sad.
And then I met Tamara, and it was like this big day. I had to announce.
And he did announce.
I have a shelf in the refrigerator now with food on it. That's mine. Can you believe it? So, yes, I've always had this collector spirit. So, either way, if there's something that's interesting, fun, sounds cool. Now, obviously, we have to be conscientious of, I don't think we can give away firearms and things like that. Not because we wouldn't be interested in it, but I think it does. We'll have to double check. We'll look into it more, and we'll keep this conversation going.
What would incentivize you to find like 10 people in your circle and say, hey, you got to go subscribe to this. You got to go subscribe to this. Because once we hit that number...
subscribe and watch.
That would be true. That seemed obvious to me, but maybe it's not.
Just a little.
Yeah. So, but once we get to 1,000, then we could like give something away to that pool of our first 1,000, our special 1,000.
Oh, like 1,000 gifts?
I don't know. I'm thinking one gift to. I don't know.
Maybe
I can't
like
think of what I would give away that would be
or can you do like a
drawing.
raffle or
like
something?
Maybe like a drawing. Pull one name out of the
out of our subscribers.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll have to figure out the logistics of that.
But if you have ideas,
either way,
let us know. Or if you've seen something from any of the "Hey guys" crowd.
I gotta go find out what this is. She uses this as a meme, as if I'm to be aware of it. I have no clue who the "Hey guys"
There is not
crowd
a
is.
video on YouTube where they don't start "Hey guys." And
is that just like...
that's like how they open. I don't know. We're a little bit more conversant.
Are we?
Yeah, I think so.
But
then they often have 200,000 subscribers, so maybe we need to start the "Hey guys."
Hey guys, I know.
No, it's not that. It's just I don't know. So okay, so let us know. What do you think would be a good way to get us up to 1,000? And if we should give away something, what that something would be, what you've seen elsewhere, let us know.
Well, and I think Tamara, to encourage this, she took a little time to, at least, because we know as a more mature couple ourselves, the ability to navigate some of this stuff may be new to some folks. Maybe they're not hugely tech savvy, and it's not challenging. It's just if you're not familiar with it, you don't know what you don't know sometimes. So she did a little video to walk through.
That is something that I found. There were people who were like, "I don't have a YouTube account, and I wouldn't even know where to begin."
Well, and
I have a video to show you.
Well, and more importantly, you kind of already do have a YouTube account
if you have a Google account.
Have a Gmail
or
email account. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the way it's set up is that Gmail, and Google generally, your login information can be ported over to a variety of different Gmail services, or Google services, I should say. YouTube's one of those services. And so if you are already set up with a Gmail account for, personal use or otherwise, you can, through that account, go up to the little, dot, all the little dotty section in the upper right-hand corner, drop that down. I don't know what it's even called.
Is that the official
It's the dotty
tech
section.
guy?
And it's a little drop-down that has the various services that are available through Google. And so you hit that, and you'll see the little, YouTube icon, the kind of red thing with the play button on it. And you select that. And I think it should give you an option to be able to link your current login credentials with Gmail over to your YouTube login credentials. But if you're not...
That sounds really complicated. I don't think it's that complicated. Let's go ahead and push the play. Maybe it is if you don't have a Google account, a Gmail.
I thought I was being helpful. Evidently. Too many wordy words.
Wordy words and dotty dots.
Yes. Okay, let me go ahead and get this pulled up here, and let's watch this here.
Okay, I'm going to do a real quick video to show you how to find Neomix Live and subscribe. Begin by going to youtube.com. And when you log in or you get to that website, you'll have some random bits of shows here from, I don't know, all sorts of sources. You will then go over here to the right-hand side, click Sign In. And that'll take you to a Google sign-in. I have Gmail accounts. So I will go to my Gmail account. I will enter the password, excuse me.
I love the blackout. That's very deep.
Very difficult.
Okay, and boom. I'm now in my YouTube, and you can see right off the bat, there is a Neomix Live show right there. Isn't that funny what they clip? Okay, that being said, if you want to, you can click on that, and that'll get you to the station channel. But if you're not already subscribed, it might not come up. So you're going to enter here in the search bar, Neomix Typewriter.live. And boom. These are some of our videos, but this is our channel. So you're going to hop there, and you can see I'm already subscribed. But let's say hypothetically you're not. You would be seeing that red button. Okay? Just run over there, click subscribe, then see the bell comes up. The bell is your notifications. Do you want to be alerted every time something comes out? Do you want to never be alerted when something new comes out? Do you want something in between? I like the all, so I'm going to keep it as the all, and boom, I'm subscribed. So that's it. That's how easy it is.
Okay. That was it.
That was it. That's how easy it is. Now, there are some stills that you did just to kind of highlight these. I do want to pull them up. So you got in the upper left-hand corner just, the domain, www.youtube.com. And then, let me change where we're at. I was blocking it. The sign-in the right-hand side. Now, if you have never created an account, you can go and just do like a Google search or a Bing search or whatever and just type in, Google account sign up. And that'll allow you to get to that point where you can create an account. Now, if you're looking around for us, sometimes it's helpful to know what you're looking for. So if you're typing in and you don't, recall, and you type in just Neomix Live without the dot in it, at least when this pops up, you kind of know what our icon looks like. You know what to look for.
Our 148 subscribers at the moment.
There we go. Very proud of our 148, the first.
I am. You know what's interesting, though? When I was looking through all of our analytics, they give you all sorts of information. Those who watch our video, about 80% are not subscribers. So, there's a nice pool of people who are watching.
If they just click the subscribe button, make a big difference. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, very cool. I do, let me actually just check one thing. But yeah, either way, being able to subscribe, it's easy, straightforward. But I think the important thing is that it may not sound like much, but for anyone who has even just taken a cursory glance at what it is to be able to take shows, maintain shows, grow them, and necessarily have an opportunity to grow the content and quality of what you're seeing, it's all driven by subscriptions. It's driven by how long people are then watching the videos. And those two factors are probably the most important at ensuring that you're able to continue to grow and do interesting things on these various platforms. My take of it, we're as infants in this process, as much a noobs, however you want to characterize it, as literally like not have much going. You have to learn a lot of things, let alone being somebody that actually, it's kind of one of those arenas where I think for us, and I think the unique side of subscribing to a new show is you're there for the ride.
From our first show, where none of the videos played us, and we were very dark, to our next show where the music played despite the fact that we weren't playing it.
All the little fits and starts along the way, but I think just more importantly, it's kind of cool to have a bird's eye view of how these things can progress and grow and become these real
hello.
Amazing.
We have people saying hello to us right now.
Hello.
And hello, Joe. Hello, Tammy. And we got our very first suggestion for a giveaway. That this person knows my love of flowers and said, why don't you do something with the flowers and giving away something to do with plants?
And just alienate all the guys. Perfect. I love that. Not really.
It came from a guy.
Oh, is it? Well, we cross-gender appeal.
Next.
Yes, but regardless. So either way, I know I wanted to pivot into something. And if anybody has had an opportunity to watch our segment on the rare and antiquarian books, I think it's nice every now and again to expose folks to things that are maybe overlooked in their lives, their circumstances, but yet actually hold a lot of value. And most of the time, it's completely unrealized value, mainly because people don't know what they've got. They don't know what they have. They haven't taken the time to say, let me look at my book collection and see if there isn't anything interesting in it. So in the rare and antiquarians book section, I kind of talk just generally about some finds that are out there. And if you take the time to look around, you can discover you may be holding things that are shockingly valuable
But
in
we're
a
not
way.
talking about books.
I know, but that's a nice segue. Thank you.
Wind up, wind up, wind up, wind up. Pitch!
It's a nice segue into another fun and interesting arena. And I'm gonna put the slide up, and then I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about here. This is what you call a typewriter. And for folks who may not know what this antiquated, just, dinosaur of a device is all about, you type wordy words on the typewriter.
I took the bar exam on a typewriter.
Oh, did you?
I did.
Did you?
I could type faster than I could write, and so I did.
Well, the funny thing about this typewriter is that it is really kind of a high point in the technology of typewriters. And, I'll just kind of put this out there just as a generic. Typewriters for me, I was a part of that last peer group that actually did typing in school. Yeah, exactly. Did typewriting in school on actual typewriters. Now, at least
Did you have the Selectric?
No, we had electric typewriters. Feature for us, they were actually practical tools of life. But the point is that they are making a comeback. And so I wanted to take a little time to talk about them, only because, again, you probably have one of these, and or a family member may, and it's more than likely collecting dust. And hopefully, and this is a sad thing to think about, not rusting away
Or being thrown out.
from neglect, or just being hucked as some sort of throwaway that nobody would care about, nobody's interested, computers. I look at typewriters, at least personally from a secondary standpoint. I have terrible penmanship. Horrible, in fact. And if the power goes out and the world takes a pivot, I still need to be able to communicate. And I can use my fingers and typey type. Wordy words. And you can understand what I'm saying. That is actually a very powerful tool, something that I value and treasure and will ensure is always a resource to me, because I'm somebody that makes a living with wordy words, and so I care. I care deeply that people know what they are.
A T-shirt that says wordy words.
But regardless, I myself took an additional step. So not only appreciating typewriters, I actually took the additional step of acquiring one and learning how to fix the thing.
To repair
it, service it, so that it's useful, and at the end of the day, restore it. I pulled up that Olivetti, and I'll jump back to it. I researched, okay, what's the best, most effective, most mature technology that is out there when it comes to typewriters? Because remember, these things have been around, 150 years-ish at this point, maybe just shy of that, as kind of like a mature, actually used regularly tool. And so I started looking at kind of the 60s, early 70s, before you started to see the pivot towards electric typewriters and found that this was perceived, this is an Olivetti Litera 32, this was seen as kind of like a really mature version of mechanical typewriter.
So it's not electric.
This is not electric. This is, and let me come back over here, and I'll go to the.
That one's pretty. Put that one up.
No, we'll get to that one.
Oh, there's a pretty one coming.
Yeah, this. And to give you a sense, and I think dimension is nice. This is my first Olivetti that I actually personally restored. I've restored these now and sold them, and made back any investment I've ever made in typewriters. So what you encounter, and mind you, this one's nice. It's got a little heft to it as far as the overall weight, but this one was designed to be carried. And when you open these things, you can remove them from their case. Yeah. This is a little gem of a device. Now, it may not, for people that don't appreciate what this means, you can type 50 words a minute. You can do that on this. The ability to, and this is a little tidbit here. You can get these in pica, which is kind of the standard traditional typewriter font. You can also get them, and this is why I love this one so much, in script, which basically types a version of cursive.
So no millennials can read what you're writing or what you're typing.
Oh, it's secret. I didn't even think about that. I can type in cursive and no one younger than, 35 will know what it means. Which, side note, they don't teach cursive anymore, which is a tragedy. Regardless. The reason why, though, I like the Olivetti Litera 32 is because when you get it in script, the keys basically mirror the same kind of position that you would expect keys to be in on a modern computer.
QWERTY. Isn't that what they call it?
It is QWERTY. That's the layout. But I mean like the number 1 with the asterisks above it. The number 4 with the $sign above it. The script version, there are just some kind of unique features to it that actually makes it different slightly and just enough from a modern keyboard on a laptop, for example, that it just doesn't have the appeal. But this thing just belts out. These little keys whip around very quickly and allow you the opportunity to type in a manner that's very much comparable to what you might be used to on a modern keyboard. Now, there's some other cool things, not only just the fact that the manner in which it types. When you get about, collecting these things, or you want to take the next step to restore them, there are a few components on typewriters, but very few that need to really be replaced ever. As the steel on these things, the Olivetti, this is an actual Italian company that put this out, and they had factories in Spain and Italy, but sold internationally. I think this one's of Spanish origin, or maybe no, this one is Italian. But you can get some of them in Spain as well. But they have like a little pop-off thing here, and it exposes where the ribbon is.
Now, is the ribbon's red? Does it type red?
It's red or black, depending on
what you shift.
Yeah, which key you're hitting. I'd actually have to set this down to get that reset. But the main point is that when you're dealing with these things, you have the actual platen, which is what the keys are actually striking onto, and that's the what you might just call the roller that you have when you're putting a piece of paper in. This can get hard. Or actually, I should say can. It does get hard over time. It's a rubber.
Yeah, it hardens.
And when it hardens, think about it. You've got these little keys with these little,
raised letters.
Raised, metal letters and numbers on them. Imagine taking metal and striking it on a very hard object over time. It dulls the actual metal on it, and it loses its definition. Well, you can replace this rubber. There's a great outfit. They're actually out of New York. JJShort.com. It's JJ Short Associates. They started in 1977, but they do specialized rubber type products for all types of industry. But one of the cool things they do, they will service and take care of putting new rubber on your original platens. So you take something that's already well built. This one's from the 60s. You add new rubber to it. I was blessed because the feet on this one are good, still pliable rubber feet, so that, you know, it doesn't scratch up your tables or any surface you're on. It doesn't slide around when you're using it. But by putting that new platen on, this thing's good for another 50 years of regular use without issue, without concern.
Where do you get the ribbons from at this point in time?
The ribbons, you can just buy ribbon and spool it on to the originals and just kind of, you know, cycle it in that
eBay
way.
Purchase or an Amazon
You can get it off of
purchase?
eBay, you can get it off of Amazon. They still make the ribbon because there's a lot of people that actually, in fact, do still care about typewriters. So you can replace the ribbon if it gets just dried out and the ink dries on it, but that's just a consumable on any typewriter that you're using, but it's not something that just wears out overnight. Cool thing about typewriters, the ribbon goes this way and winds this way, and when it's done winding that way, it winds the other direction. So it's kind of slick little technology, but this one, I know I got a hold of one. And I like the script one, so I kind of zeroed in on that. I think my first of these that I ever picked up, I paid like $65 for on eBay. I got a new platen serviced. I think it was like $80 from the folks at jjshort.com, JJ Short Associates. They took care of that. I reinstalled it. The little string that, you know, every time you hit the type or the keys on the typewriter, it kind of moves one pike at a time. That can wear out sometimes. So you've got a string that maybe wears out, the rubber that maybe wears out, and you know, rubber feet that might wear out, and ribbon, which you're gonna need to be conscientious of anyways if you're regularly typing. That's it. Everything else is resilient. These aren't products that rust out because, you know, the manufacturing at the time was of such high grade and high quality, and the pride that went into, you know, manufacturing historically ensured that you have something that isn't rusting out on you and getting miserable with just a modicum of basic care. You know, you don't leave it out in the rain, and, you know, anything that you care about, if you treat it right, it should be fine. And that's how
it's got its nice little carrying case too.
It's got its cool little carrying case. But by taking the time to do that and fix one of these up, I think, what did it sell? I ended up selling one to someone, I think, in San Francisco. I got like, I don't know, close to $500. Selling the thing to someone after just the most basic of, you know, clean it, make sure there's no rust on it, make sure that there's no kind of accumulation of any dust or hair or, you know, shavings from somebody trying to erase or do anything of that nature. So they're out there and people are deeply interested in buying these things.
So now you sold it to somebody in San Francisco. Now, didn't you see a movie where you kind of wondered if that was yours?
Yeah, what was the movie that I was watching? There was some movie, I sold the thing, and then I saw, like, literally a few months later a movie, and what was in the movie was something that looked literally exactly like the Lithera 32 that I just sold.
Is that mine?
Yeah, I paused and I was looking at it. I'm like, that's obviously an Olivetti. It's obviously a Lithera 32 because they have a distinct look to them. Maybe?
But this is not his only baby.
This is not. I do have others.
Several.
I have several, and I tend to them and care for them and restore them. But moving on, just to kind of give you a sense, this is my latest acquisition, so to speak. And this is just an example of it. I'll actually have pictures of mine, but this is a Corona. This is actually a Corona number 4. These started coming out in the late 1920s. And they are, this one's a museum piece. This one's a museum piece that somebody, I think actually Corona Company donated, I think this one to the Smithsonian, because these are just classic, beautiful, part of American history.
Truly.
But regardless, the one that I just acquired, and I'll go over this one in detail, is now at our law office. And I'll get into some of the details of what I had to do with this one. This one has actually just like a burgundy. Is that fair to say?
Beautiful.
It's this stunning burgundy.
Looks
I
like
did send
fancy law office stuff.
Yes, very much so. But the cool thing is that this one, I found it, somebody done a basic servicing, meaning just made sure the dust and hair and stuff like that wasn't in it. But when I started looking at it, I realized there was 0 rust on it. And mind you, this one is a 1931 Corona number 4. So literally this is a 90-year-old typewriter. One thing, and I keep talking about these typewriters, and a great way for you to get more information if you have one yourself, and you just pull it on the shelf or have it on some shelf in the closet or in the basement, you want to pull it out, you can go to typewriterdatabase.com. So typewriter spelled out, database spelled out, DATABASE, but it's typewriterdatabase, all one word.com. Look at the serial number for your specific model of typewriter.
Where do you find the serial numbers generally?
It depends on the model.
Okay.
It can be on the bottom side. It can be on kind of a inside, but like an interior mark on the frame or the subframe, depending on what kind of typewriter you have. So you hunt it up, and you can actually type that in. And if they don't have the exact year that specific model number was manufactured, they'll have the year range based on kind of model number series. And it could be numbers, series of letters, but they can actually give you a range that's certain, actually not certain, but most any typewriter was manufactured. And I think they even do cover some of the various European brands. Germans were very big on making typewriters. Obviously, the Italians were very big on it. I think some other Europeans, obviously English had theirs, but you can get information about all of them, as well as a lot of your big American brands, which Corona was.
That's an American brand?
Yeah, Corona was. Oh, one thing, and I don't want to forget this. Olivetti, they purchased, I think it was in 1959, they purchased Underwood, which is another American, if I'm not correct, typewriter manufacturer. So sometimes you'll hear an Olivetti Underwood, or you'll hear an Underwood referenced, even though it looks exactly like an Olivetti. So if you hear Underwood or Olivetti, you may be dealing with the same exact typewriter, but just depending on where they were in their acquisition or their, I guess, management of that brand may dictate what it is that you see yours labeled as. But those are the same kind of technology, the same benefit, the same kind of utility that makes, at least for me, this such an appealing typewriter. Now, kind of going back briefly to the Corona, let me pull that back up. There, in this one, just to point out some things. The lead paint that was used in this is absolutely stunning. So don't chew on it. It's not good for you. It looks beautiful, and there's a reason. But that lead paint, they don't use it anymore. But when you see an old device like this, you can see why so many things were painted in that toxic, but such beautiful, paint that is associated with a lot of devices like this. This is just another angle on the...
It's just elegant. I mean,
it
that's
is.
just completely elegant in how it was designed and crafted.
It is. Now, this one is fully functional. Every key works. It types beautifully. Now, because we're talking about, something that came out in the late 20s, this ran, the number 4s that ran in the 20s and 30s. It's a deeper type experience on the fingers than what you might necessarily experience on like a modern keyboard where it's very shallow, or even the Litera, which is very quick. Just it's very fast. The modern mature typewriters vis-a-vis the more antique, if you will. These you had to press and commit a little bit more deeply to each key, but these things were built to last. And the nice part is that this one has 0 rust on it. I did the same thing. Went to talked to the guys at jjshort.com because this one I wanted the platen, which is the main roller, replaced. But also when you pull apart a Corona number 4 like this, there are some rollers that you can't see until you've actually dismantled the unit slightly. They were able to replace those rollers just as well. And so all new rollers, all new platen. And on this one, it was very funny because I finished everything up and I was like, this is great. Type, stopped moving. And I was like, oh. So it took me just a brief moment and I realized that the drawstring, because it's like a mechanical spring, and the string is then every time you hit space or you hit a number key or a letter key, it clicks, and then you're if you've ever watched a movie or something, when it moves so far over, it dings, and then you've got this little lever, and you can see it in this one. It's kind of the shiny little hook thing on
the... call it the return bar?
Yeah, the return bar. In the Olivetti. It's a little different shape. This one's a little cleaner and tighter. But this little bar, you just hit it and slide it, and it, carries over the entire platen. But it also then one click so that your next line is set up for your next paragraph or sentence of typing. In this one, the Olivetti, you can actually select how much of a space you want, how tight you want everything, or if you want to maybe be a little easier. Yeah, so you can actually select that, but they did a very nice job, and it's very clean on the Olivetti. Very slick, very nice, and
so what
and
happened
fluid.
with that one? You were saying about the string and
then
stopping?
So I'm busy clapping away, typing, and it stops. I look at it, and the spring on the underside of it had broken. And
is this when you were in the kitchen that one?
This is when I was in the kitchen, and I think I used expletives only 7 times in repairing it, which I don't think is bad.
My son and I just vacated the kitchen.
Because it was just one of those things where it's like, it's going to happen right now. The repair is going to happen right now. But thankfully, I have a friend in the community who has a similar issue, if you will, with typewriters.
He's the one who got you into these, isn't it?
No, I got them myself.
And you just happened
and
to
then
have
it was
a
kind of like, hey,
thing.
I'm into this. And he was like, whoa, I am too. And the rest is history as far as, a couple typewriter geeks go. But needless to say, he had some string for me, and I was able to get it in. It was definitely a little bit of a chore. On the Olivetti, a little more straightforward. That, it was a little labor of love to make that work. But once it was done, it'll be good now for the next 90 years. That's the amazing thing about this. A very little bit of effort and a little bit of conscientiousness. And I think the most important thing, knowing about J.J. Short Associates and knowing that you can send that rubber off, have it completely reconditioned and put back on to your typewriter, knowing that now you have something that, but for a few nicks of its stunning lead paint, you would never know. You would never, ever know that this beauty was not fresh from the factory or otherwise.
Oh, that's such a pretty picture.
Yeah. Now this one just kind of, you can zoom in and see. Now mind you, this is 90-year-old steel, and it's flawless. You know, and even the little dimples in it just add character and charm. I don't care who you are, you're going to walk up and look at these things and just inspect the detail on it. And I also got a picture of the underside of it. Oh, wow. The cool thing, and now you can see at the top of the picture, there's a little marking on the paint. These actually come with a handheld case comparable to what the Olivetti has. The problem is that a lot of the cases are 90 years old, and they were used. These were sought after typewriters. They were popular typewriters. This company, Corona, or at the time this one was manufactured, Corona was based in, I guess it's Groton, New York is where they were manufacturing these. And they had great deal of success with their first Corona, and they just then became the Corona Typewriter Company. Shortly thereafter, they merged with the L.C. Smith company, and then you would see a lot of Smith and Corona typewriters. And a lot of people are probably familiar hearing about Smith and Corona typewriters. But this is just kind of the early days of the merger and these typewriters. But you can look at the underside of this. Zero rust. And you can barely make it out. I should have probably taken an additional picture of the springs on the bottom side. Every one of them impeccable, flawless, beautiful. So I bring this up. And this one last thing before I get to my next point. The feet on this, the original rubber had just like flattened. So I found somebody, and they're actually a Virginian, who used 3D printing and used modern synthetic rubber material to manufacture feet just for the Corona 4.
What part of Virginia?
I think they were Eastern Shore. Or they Northern Virginia? I could go back and check. But regardless, you go onto eBay. You can hunt them up. Corona 4 feet or rubber or what have you, and they're on there. So very nominal expense. Brand new feet all the way around, and because it's modern kind of rubberized material, that's impervious. It doesn't have the same properties that natural rubber may very well, and so it's not going to compress over time. So this will actually age better than the original rubber that was used on it. And so, I have between the rubber and getting the platen, and it only took a week for the folks at J.J. Short to go ahead and turn around this rubber. So they were very, very quick. I think for less than $150, I had the whole thing serviced up and ready. And it is stunning in our office. I don't care who comes into the office. They're going to take a minute to look at the typewriter because it's that appealing, that gorgeous. This one, I probably won't ever bother hunting up a case for it. Because while it is fully functional...
who would ever hide it?
Yeah, you want to see it. You want it out there. You want it to be a conversation piece. But back to my main point. Got the new feed on. You can look at the underside of a typewriter. If you see that there's very little rust and that the springs are all on it and that the keys otherwise work, that's a great sign. If you see that the platen, maybe take a fingernail, and if it's real, stiff and it's not pliable at all, jjshort.com, you can get that replaced. Ribbon, dirt cheap. You can easily, if you've got just some basic mechanical sense, you can open the thing up and look and figure out how to thread in and feed in new ribbon. You have something that, depending, could actually turn into a few $100s of value for something that may have been a borderline throwaway for you.
Yeah.
Let alone, and mind you, if you have maybe somebody in your family who was a well-known writer, somebody that had any modicum of success or fame in life, kind of like the books. I like finding
them
books
before?
that have interesting history as to who the prior owners were, interesting history about the authors.
Was this one in a wartime office somewhere?
Sure.
I mean,
Well, I actually have one that I'm servicing for my daughter that is an old U.S. government, literally etched on the bottom. I don't know if it was Department of Commerce or I don't know. It's literally scratched into the bottom. Like somebody etched it in, U.S. government. And I'm working on that for our oldest daughter, which I'll get to it. But I bought a second one so I could, cannibalize it to give her this nice one. But it's one of those big desktop.
It's a behemoth.
You wouldn't want it to drop on you. It would murder you. But the point is that it's just got its own charm to it. So, you have potentially a gem. And like I said, if somebody in your family has an interesting history to them, it's amazing. Once people find out that there's a great story behind these things, they're willing to pay premiums. And I see some of these typewriters where starting bid for something that, is just a nice typewriter, all of a sudden there's a $500 premium on it just because it was an interesting person who typed on it.
Yeah.
Let alone, famous authors. Think about the 20th century. All of our famous authors of the 20th century, by and large, were using typewriters. Yeah. Let alone, I guess, maybe the late 20th century. But by and large, everybody was using typewriters. Those are hitting auctions. And you're talking $1 million just because somebody had
Wrote a
writers.
special book
Yeah.
on it.
That was the book they, clapped out, Catcher in the Rye. That kind of stuff that, clearly isn't for everybody. And, there are connoisseurs and people with more money than sense sometimes who, have resources to kind of just buy whatever. Doesn't mean, though, that something you may have isn't valuable, isn't interesting. And as somebody that doesn't have any typewriter from some famous somebody, they're still wicked cool.
Yeah.
Very fun, and something that when you breathe life back into them, for our peer group, it's kind of like, yeah, typewriters.
Gen X.
Yeah, I'm Gen X. Yeah, so
Both
you're
are. I'm one end or the other.
Yeah, there you go. But for people who are 35 or younger, this is something they see on TV. This is something they watch in movies. It's not a practical experience for them. You sit somebody down on a typewriter, have them actually go through it. As somebody that types all day, just byproduct of my work, typing on a typewriter, because you don't want to make mistakes, because it's not like, backspace, backspace, backspace on a computer and there's no consequence.
Control Z, Control Y.
You have to be more conscientious in the formation of your words and the manner in which you're typing. And it almost becomes like this little mini meditation to just focus in a way. I type and I'm very distracted because I'm thinking, doing stuff and just belting things out on a computer. On a typewriter, you're kind of meditating over it to ensure that as you're thinking, as you're writing out a sentence, as you're typing it, it's just this, very kind of methodical and the only
you put yourself
it's
into
a
that zone,
contemplative
that Zen zone where
space that you get into. And when you think about all the distractions in the world, I would just bet anybody, get behind a typewriter, type a letter, type a phrase, type your thoughts of the day, type a little journal for the day, and tell me you're not in a different headspace than you would have been at any other time of the day for just calming yourself, thinking about your words, being conscientious as you physically go through the act of typing them out, knowing that you want them to be just so. It's interesting. And, somebody that's a thinker, to think differently, to organize your life and how you conduct yourself in a way that's outside your norms, it expands your perspective on things that I think is healthy. It's healthy to get outside your usual comfort. And here's just a great, convenient way that's practical, constructive, potentially valuable, easy, but is now this kind of like throwaway piece of history that people are rediscovering. Much the same my sentiment about books. Typewriters, I think, are one of those kind of bubbling below the surface arenas of life that, wait another 10, 15 years to where it's really an anachronism. And people are just like, wait, there were days when you just sat and relaxed and thought? Really? I call it my space out time. Do people space out anymore?
None of that.
No, this is not space out time. This is feeding some sort of opiate addiction. Or was it? No, not dopamine. Dopamine addiction. Yeah, literally opioids.
As we sit here and broadcast on exactly that forum.
Do it. Hey guys.
Subscribers.
But regardless, it's just one of those things that I think is worthwhile. Go check out your typewriter. Give it another look-see. If you have any questions, if you had a question for me and we're like, hey, I've got this, it's doing this. I now have gotten deep enough that I could say, well, check this out, check that out, and offer some constructive advice because I think it'd be worth it to you to get that exposure. And I tell you, you work on one typewriter, learn the basics of it, you're going to want to work on the next because you're like, wait, that's it? And where's my next one? Fun gifts, giving people a typewriter now. It may end up on a shelf again, but it's now their shelf and they have an awareness for it that but for you taking the time, they never would have been exposed to. Who would have thought my 17-year-old daughter is eagerly awaiting for her typewriter?
Truly.
Yeah, literally.
Truly.
So it's one of those things.
If you find one in your home that you haven't paid attention to and it's there, send a picture or post a picture on the links.
And I will be honest, even if I see some gem that you may not fully recognize, I'll tell you you have a gem. Take care of it. So, either way, worth checking out. Oh, I did not want to forget this. Remember correction tape?
Mm-hmm. The little... Well, there's correction tape now where you...
No. Typewriter correction tape.
Yeah, those Selectrics had them.
Yeah, but that was embedded in the system and most of the electronic units are shot out. Do you remember the old typewriter correction tape?
Can't say that I do.
Yeah, it is literally a tape. One side of it had, or more of a film. One side of it had kind of like just this white.
Oh, and you would type and it would lift the letter right back off the paper.
Either lift it or it would actually cover it, but directly in line with the impression of that respective key that you were striking on. So if it was a 1 and you meant it to be a 2, you'd hit backspace and type your 1 again.
Okay.
And it would ink over just the exact outline. So it was actually kind of a very discreet form of correcting your typing.
All right. What about it?
Go try to find some.
Really? Gone? Nobody's making it?
Nobody's making it.
Wow.
Gone to the world.
Ugh.
I was like, okay, money's no object. If I just don't care, what's it gonna cost? Even then, it didn't matter.
Really?
Because the stuff that you're getting is literally 40 years old, which
it probably doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, it's worthless. It's worthless. Doesn't work. So I'm just gonna throw that out there. If you need to correct, obviously we have
Just whiteout.
the correction tape. Like they now have whiteout correction tapes.
I think you'd still be better to do the little bottle with the little sponge thing because it's much more delicate than that tape. That tape is just, there's a line and it's got little edges and... Sure.
So either the tape or you're actually resorting back to whiteout.
Yeah.
But the dilemma is then you have to blow on it and wait a moment. And if you're, typing away...
anyways.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe that's part of the patience, the meditation that only a typewriter can give. Either way, just an interesting perspective out there that I think is worth checking out. Don't write off your typewriters. Don't write off your old books. My two little sentiments that I hope some folks internalize.
There are others.
No, there are others, but it's a dying breed.
Yeah.
Look at what's happening to book dealers. The real driving growth is for these kinds of books that have histories behind them and stories. So it's not exactly the text per se. Mm-hmm. It's the story behind it. I think typewriters are going to be on track, though, for their own revival before long. And so better to pay attention now. Keep track if you're out, shopping around and you're in some, used what just what
Antique
knick-knack,
store,
antique store,
junk store.
Yeah, and you see one,
Pick.
check and see if there's inspect it for rust, inspect that each of the keys work, and make an offer, because it's probably been sitting there for a bit, and I bet you could probably get it on the cheap. There are YouTube videos by other content creators who can walk you through how to do kind of interesting repairs that are sometimes necessary on a specific unit. So there's plenty of resources, even though you're talking about typewriters, because there are people who are interested in this. Worthwhile, in my opinion. And you know how much that's worth.
Oh, they're here. I presume it matters some.
No, but you know what I mean. It's one of those things that, you hear about opinions, and there's all these really graphic ways to describe, how everyone has one. So I'm not one to think that it's also valuable and important, but also at the same time, if somebody takes the time to learn a few things, it makes it easier to know, hey, somebody else has walked down this path before me. They've given it some real thought. Maybe I'll check it out.
Yeah, I think as much love as you've shown, today and always for these things.
Is it love?
It is love.
I kind of do.
It is care.
Aww. I love my typewriter. No, okay, sorry. Regardless, I think that's it for this evening.
That's it.
Are we
tonight.
good?
We're good.
We're
Show
good.
8 in the bag.
Is it? Yes, that quick.
Yep.
So please
Subscribe.
Subscribe.
And let us know what you think about how can we incentivize people to join for our hunt for 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah, on the hunt for 1,000 subscribers. One of the things, and this is just kind of an anecdote, you never know what's going to take off with a given channel.
Yeah.
Go and look at some of the biggest content providers. It was like a video. They've been doing videos for months, years, and then just one video made the difference. And then everybody came back to their old videos and were like, oh my goodness, and started watching and learning about all the things that these folks had been into and talking about and describing and hey guysing about. So you never know. And so it's amazing listening to those folks who are watching, taking in their recommendations, adapting to the growing needs of your viewers, all important things. And so it's literally, I think, the dialogue between a content creator, a new show, a new channel like ours, and our viewers that can breed that special moment that all of a sudden things change and more folks are interested in paying attention. And it can be really transformative, not just for those folks who are watching, but also the content provider, because they now have options and opportunities that they could have never imagined to make sure that the stuff that they're providing and getting out is excellent, and cool and fun and interesting. Yeah. I like the interesting thing.
Yeah, that always makes it more interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. So regardless,
I think we're done.
Have a good evening.
Yeah. Good night.
Thank you for taking the time.
Bye.
We'll see you guys.